Hey, Biff, what did the ocean say to the cruise ship?
Oh, did the ocean say to the cruise ship truck?
Nothing. It just waved.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Okay. You know what? You this guaranteed that this comes with the Carnival Personnel Podcast stamp of guaranteed approval right here. Okay, here we go. Hey, Biff, what is Baby Yoda's favorite bedtime story?
No idea.
Good night. That's no moon.
What's wrong?
I felt a great disturbance in the force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. I fear something terrible has happened.
My God.
No moon.
It's a good thing you don't do comedy as a living.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Carnival Personnel Podcast. I'm Jacques.
I'm here against my will, Biff.
I'm here willingly, but I don't know why. I think I've just been drugged earlier in the year, and the effects are still lingering. This is Joe.
So before I completely take over and dominate for once, you know what? We're coming right out of the gate, going hard, going strong with the Weekend Joe. Joe, a couple months ago, pulled a Jacques where he didn't ask me if I wanted to go to an event. He said, we're going to this event on this day, period, the end, full stop. And we did. So why don't you tell everybody about the FFF?
Recently, in the past couple of years, I've stumbled upon these guys who've been doing something online for 20 years. These guys named Nick and Joe from the Found Footage Festival. They are the ones who starred in that documentary called Chop and Steal a few years ago, where they pretended to be exercise workout experts to go on local news live broadcasts, and then they would do demonstrations that were ridiculous. And they've done other things as well. But their bread and butter is this Found Footage Festival, where for the past 20 years, they've been collecting VHS tapes, like produced VHS tapes, but like not widely distributed VHS tapes. A lot of like homegrown stuff, weird, obscure, bizarre. And every week on YouTube, they have a thing called VCR Party, where they showcase the best of what their latest findings are. And then, the two guys, Nick and Joe, they usually have a guest, a producer or whatever, and they talk about and riff on and play games with these videos. And they also tour. So they came to Harvard Square, Cambridge, Mass, last week. I luckily was watching their live YouTube when they were actually promoting. Oh, by the way, we're going on tour and we're going to be in Cambridge in a couple of weeks. So I said, oh, that'd be perfect for Jacques and me because it's affordable, it's nearby.
And it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, yeah. And it was a good time. It was 90 minutes. I mean, they've been doing it for so long. There was not an ounce of fat on this show. It was very good. There were even contributions from a local podcaster named Ken Reed, who does the TV Guidance Counselor podcast. And he's also into obscure TV and friends with these guys. So he contributed a couple of clips from local public access shows. Yeah, there were just so many fun, weird videos. A lot of inside jokes because these guys have been around for so long. They introduced us, Jacques and me, to this newer kid, this younger 16-year-old, 17-year-old, who's kind of like up-and-coming prankster on local news. Like he went on some local news broadcast to like in Michigan or something like that, where he's trying to promote kids his age, like 16, 17, how they can get away from the screens, how they can get off the apps and these fun, tactile games. There was like a bunch of like, rocks or candies or something?
He said he did like a real life Candy Crush.
Yeah, right. There was a real life Candy Crush where he just laid a bunch of colorful candies, hard candies on the table. And it's like, okay, so now we just take this hammer and then you just, you crush whatever, you try to crush like 3 in a row or something. And it made no sense. And then at the very end of the 5-minute segment, he's like, I if you want to learn more, I do have an app. And then he ties it all back to the thing he's trying to get away from. The big reveal was that his father was a junket interviewer for like entertainment back in the early mid 2000s, and they played a reel that his son edited for these guys at the Found Footage Festival. Like he found like all this B-roll and raw footage of these junket press interviews with like Britney Spears and Jack Black, and it was just a lot of awkwardness in those videos. And his father apparently had a catchphrase where he would wrap every interview with a celebrity with, well, continued success, and then that was just sort of his outro. And so the son now is trying to carry that phrase into his YouTube stuff and his online stuff. So I'm glad Jacques was able to go with me, because I would have never gone on my own, and I would have been poorer for it.
And the Brattle Theater right in Harvard Square, it's one of those, I don't know how it still has survived, because the whole area around it has been ridiculously gentrified. It's well over 100 years old. It has a balcony that it just has a great vibe to it. It really, really is this cool space. Yeah, but the Chop and Steel guys, I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast, but when these guys would go from point A to point B to do their shows, there's no vetting. And as somebody who's gotten many low-end celebrity wannabes or local people on morning shows, I can tell you, if you call those shows and say, this person's coming to town to do A, B, C, do you want them to come to your studio? How little vetting goes in. and so when these guys would go on, and the Chop and Steel was maybe their third running gag. Like, one of them was a really bad chef. He was presenting himself as a celebrity chef, where his whole thing was, he said he wrote a book on what to do with the Thanksgiving leftovers, and essentially all it was is put everything in a blender. That's it. And he would do that on the show. He would have all like these, like he would bring out all the stuff. He had a chef outfit, but the host would not want to second guess. Like, they are the 5 a.m. wake up Poughkeepsie person, like in the 107th biggest market. And they didn't want to second guess somebody who might have some clout, and they would drink it. Like, he would pour it and these people would drink. So Chop and Steel, and it's absurdist humor, but they did it with such conviction. And if you can't afford to go to the gym, get 2 water jugs. And they would start curling. Like, they would have semi-legitimate workout stuff. But as the segment went on, it would get more and more. And what ended up happening, they were somewhere in North Dakota or South Dakota. Apologize for which Dakota I'm offending by having the wrong one. But they're part of, like, Sinclair, the evil Sinclair.
Right. Oh, yeah. Okay.
And they took him to federal court for fraud.
It was Madison, Wisconsin.
And the case dragged on for years. These guys almost went bankrupt. It's a great documentary.
Oh my God.
But anyway, so these guys, it was such a great night. Highly, highly recommend just watching one of their shows. And it's a who's who's. I mean, you have people like, who were some of the celebrities? Like, they had a montage of the guests that they've had come to their tiny little studio. Like, they
have like David Cross, like a lot of the alt comedy people.
When you started to say David Cross, I thought you were going to say David Crosby, and I'm thinking, wow.
He would probably do this. Okay, so
right now enough. It's hard. I don't think they can get him. I'm just saying
they got a great agent. They got you don't know.
You don't know. He's pretty. Hey, have you seen my David Crosby impression? It's not very good on the radio.
So that's it. Joe only gets out once a year, and that's it. So he made them. Wait, hold on. Joe, wait, is this newsfeed right, Joe? Did you have 2 outings since we've last talked? Like, I didn't drag you to? That I didn't drag you to? Well, what was this alleged second outing that you've gone on?
Well, I think you did drag me to this one. Are we talking about?
No. We're talking Connecticut.
Oh yeah, of course. You know how quickly I forget my own life. I went. Me and my sons, or my sons and I, went to our annual trek to Hartford, Connecticut, where we went to the Retro World Expo. It's the video game, basically a large flea market, but with other stuff going on. There were panelists, there were YouTubers and such. There was wrestling, which is always fun to watch for those who like to watch that. They have arcades. They have little actual TVs with old consoles set up, but I'm like, well, I have that in my home. I don't need to participate. But then they have tournaments, and they also have live game show stuff. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds like up my alley. So we get there first thing in the morning, which is 11 when they open. We walk around and I see the schedule. I go, oh, they're doing a Press Your Luck live thing. Let me check this out. So go to the, sit in the audience. They choose me because I raise my hand when they ask who would like to go be one of these contestants.
Volunteering.
So yeah, I got to play against two other white guys, middle-aged white guys, mind you. And so all the questions, of course, are geared towards video games. So I, of course, being a veteran game show contestant, know how to work the buzzer and know exactly how to anticipate what the answer might be on the question. So you buzz in as soon as you think you know the answer. I got the right answer on the first round of questions for there's 4 questions in each round. Right. So I got the first 4 questions right, which earned you 3 spins per question. I got 12 spins, way too many spins because, and inevitably you're going to hit a whammy. Anyways, long story short, I made it to the final round. We all make it to the final round essentially, but in the final round, I was in second place by $11,000. I had 1 spin left. I took the spin. I hit a whammy. So I got 0. I'm basically out of the game. I didn't whammy out with 4 whammies, but I was basically out. Right. But, they did say that there's going to be some consolation prize coming in the mail. So I gave them my information, including my measurements for some reason. I don't know why.
It's weird that they asked for your social security number, your mom's maiden name, and the first dog you had.
Right. And also my mom's social security number, her maiden name. Anyways, so that was fun. And then, I also went to another panel where they talked about old video games. They ranked the old Nintendo games that first came out with the old Nintendo system. They were recording a podcast at the same time. So they said anybody who wanted to enter that contest where if you can guess which top 5 games would be on the list, after the ranking, you would win something. So, and I did. Apparently, I got it. I got the highest score. So I'm going to be getting a video game book in the mail. Oh, the shelves runneth over at Shayla Renko. I have to get a structural engineer into my home to make sure that I have the appropriate amount of weight distribution to handle the amount of crap that's teetering on my shelves.
And that's a load-bearing poster.
Yeah, it's a load-bearing poster. So that was that was my crazy ass couple of weeks.
And that's it. No other outings. No other outings of note. That's it. The rest of the time. What? Why don't you tell everyone what you did Thursday?
Well, let's see. I went to work.
Yep.
And that kind of sucked. But then after work, I drove to Saugus, Massachusetts, Route 1 Saugus.
Okay.
Which is famous. It's kind of like the Vegas Strip, but without the legal prostitution. Anyway,
it was a Vegas Strip even before Vegas. The Route 1 in Saugus, seriously, Biff, there's still a half a dozen places that are iconic for 70, 80 years. It was the Vegas Strip. And what's funny is, like everything else, it's been gentrified, but there are some landmarks. So my sister and her husband met at this very famous restaurant called the Hilltop Steakhouse, which people would drive for hours and hours. If you were coming to New England, you would go to this steakhouse. It's very famous. Closed about 25 years ago, maybe.
A little bit sooner than that, but yeah.
At least 20 years maybe. And they have a big sign, it's like a cactus tree that says you can't
one of those old school steakhouses, though.
It's a landmark. Yeah. So it still stands there. There was a mini golf course that has become
inside the steakhouse.
No. Like a mile away. Okay. No, a mile away on this. And that was something that my dad would take my mom to when they were dating, like back in the 60s.
I took my kids there.
Okay, so seriously, iconic. When
and
the
also
golf course,
it was iconic because of the orange dinosaur.
Which, when it became condos, the orange dinosaur still stands in the same. They had to build, they could take the mini golf course and all the land around it, save for the dinosaur. and there's maybe.
And the Kowloon.
Well, the Kowloon, Cappy's Liquor, which is next to the Kowloon, and it's about a 2-mile stretch. And on that 2-mile stretch, there are maybe the remnants of 4 or 5 of those old roadside hotels, which at one point were the heyday in the 40s and 50s and 60s. And then, as Joe alluded to, it became the Vegas Strip, sans the illegal prostitution. But those hotels,
to be fair, they don't have that in. They don't have that in Vegas either. So
right, no. Just Reno. Reno is it? No, where is it?
I just know that they don't have like that county doesn't allow it. I don't know which counties allow it, but I know that. So,
back to your Thursday night show.
So I went to go see our friend Jacques perform for on a comedy show. Yes. At the Giggles Comedy Club inside Prince Pizzeria, Prince Restaurant. It's got the Leaning Tower of Pisa outside. It's very kitschy, but it's a staple. Like it's been there for, 50, 60 years. Jacques was part of a fundraising event for Eddie's Ranch, which, listeners of this podcast would remember from a sideshow that Jacques and his management did with the founder of Eddie's Ranch, Lisa. They do dog rescue and also provide services for, special needs dogs. And it's great. So there was a fundraiser. They oversold and it was packed to the gills. And the lineup was unmatched with comedy talent. They had Jacques as the host and opener, followed by our friend from Open Mic Pain, Wayne Russell. Then you had 2 headliners. There's a doubleheader of New England comedy. One, you had the great Mike Katrobis. And to top it all off, the queen of New England comedy, Christine Hurley. So, it was just it was a $50 entry fee. So really, you owe them more money now. I think you owe somebody is owed some more money for the amount of entertainment and unlimited pizza. Like literally, you sit down at the table as part of the deal is they just have servers come out with just like a nice, it was a 16-inch pizza, and it was great. You had your drinks. You pay for the drinks, I think. But the
first
pizza,
drink was free. Drink was free.
Okay. Yes, exactly. That's how they get you. And but it was a great night. And Jacques was. Now I'm putting this on record.
Yeah.
So quiet down. I want no background noise when I say this. I want this to be a clean, reusable soundbite. Jacques was funny. That's it. Jacques was funny. He got laughs. Most of the jokes that I wrote for him were good. I told him to remove one joke that I've heard bomb twice. And and I mean bomb as in like, just like it was like an EMP.
Like the beginning of the show.
Yes. It was like an electromagnetic pulse. It just like, it was silent, but it wiped out all the energy around. It was just like, this joke cannot be told anymore. There's no way in which you can tell this line and get laughs. It only makes people sad or upset. So I told him that was one edit. Go ahead. Yeah.
But so Lisa from Eddie's Ranch is a really good friend with my management. Such a wonderful person. She Stu only does. She takes in the dogs that no one else will, the senior dogs and the special need dogs, and as I call them, unadoptable. That's what we specialize in. And so she, a while back, she has Eddie on Wheels is her handle on the social medias, and she has close to 500,000 followers across the social medias. And Eddie on Wheels is part of Eddie's Ranch, and Eddie's on Wheels is a place in central western Massachusetts that makes wheelchairs for dogs. So she got us this $750, $800, whatever it was, wheelchair for the 2-legged dog we had taken it as a foster from Cutter that led to an adoption because, special need dogs, they're so amazing. I won't get into that, but a 2-legged dog you can't have on the second floor. You know what I mean? It limits a lot of people. Plus, there's more expenses. So if you're going to adopt a dog that has this extra $700, $800 right out of the gate.
Right,
it takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of great people and homes out of the running.
Yeah.
So it led to an adoption. She came on the podcast. And I said, now that I know how this machine works, and of course, Mike jumped in because Mike Katrobas does 50, 100, fundraisers a year. So we walk through, and Lisa does so many other fundraisers. She does the 5Ks and these online auctions. Hasn't done this. It could not work out any better. But like I said, the room holds 140. She stopped selling tickets at 148.
Wow.
But she thought that, like flights, airline flights oversell.
Yeah, somebody won't show up, right? Yeah.
Plus, she knows her followers are global, and people would buy tickets just to be supportive. No, everybody showed. People drove up from New York City just for this.
New York City.
A couple people came up from Connecticut. And that doesn't include, so when I say 148 people and everybody who bought a ticket sold, well, there was Joe, management, our friend Tracy, but it's funny when I was on when we had her on the podcast, and I said, I'm going to do this fundraiser. And she goes, I have another friend who does comedy. And I'm thinking, great, we'll give 5 minutes to her friend who does open mics or maybe took a class. That'd be really cute. And I said, who is your friend? And she says, Christine Hurley. And I said, well, she was our guest last week on this podcast. Yeah. Christine she is undisputed the queen of New England comedy. It's her. As far as the big comics, it's Lenny Clark, it's Tony V, it's Steve Sweeney, it's Christine Hurley. That is it. That is the top of the top. And Christine is friends with Lisa because, lo and behold, Lisa works at her day job. She's a vet tech in Dorchester. She has over an hour drive.
Dorchester.
Christine Hurley drove all the way from the South Shore, like by the Cape, to Dorchester for Lisa for years to take care of her dog. That's their so Christine Hurley did the show for free. I did the show. Yeah. I did not do the show for free. I did the show for $750 because that's the wheelchair that she got for our dog, and it just couldn't have been better. An older crowd, but they were there to laugh. Yeah. Wayne fucking crushed. Mike Katrobas always just nice. Well, here's the funny thing. I have two cousins who live together, very close to them. They live northern Nashua, kind of close to Manchester. I've had maybe 20 shows in like the last calendar year that was in a 20-minute drive for them for $20. One of my two cousins calls me and says, I just got tickets for the Giggle show. I wasn't telling them about the show because it's a $50 show.
Yeah, right.
It's an hour 20-minute drive at that time of day on a weekday. But they follow Lisa online. So when Lisa put out the flyer, they bought the tickets and were like, why didn't you tell me you're doing a show with Lisa? So it was
you didn't come to any of the other ones.
Yes, right. Dude, I did a show down the street with 7 people there. We don't need you there, but it was great that it was there. So Joe and I try to leave. We can't. We get stuck at the bar for an hour with the Hurleys, Jimmy Hurley and Christine. Joe is always taken back when people remember his name and demand
after
a
you
hug.
Introduced them to me.
2 years ago. No, but it was one of those great nights. And of course, I got home and I was so excited. It was great. But as Wayne was talking about, and I forgot this joke. I'm like, oh, wait, what were the jokes that I forgot? And then I realized I forgot, because those women prisons are way out in Western Mass. I forgot. I forgot 3 jokes.
Whatever.
But it was fun. It was a great night. But,
I enjoy. I think you were really good at that. You got a lot of good laughs.
My sister never saw my hoarder thing.
Yeah.
So
it was videotaped for posterity. So.
Yeah, we brought in a real camera person, so I'll have a guy. Yeah, great guy. A guy who this is what he does.
Right.
I met him a while ago. I did 2 camera shoots, so I'm excited about that. But you know what? That's not where my comedy and giving ends. Monday night, I get a text from Mr. Katrobas saying, what are you doing tomorrow? I'm like, substituting a special need room at an elementary school in Lowell. He goes, do you want to work the heckle hole at a charity golf event? And I said, yes. And because there are a few things on this planet I hate more than golf. I point people, just Google George Carlin golf. Everything that George Carlin 30 years ago had to say about the sport golfing holds true to today. it comes from my heart when I say I loathe golfing, and I don't hate golfers per se when they're not golfing, but when you're on a golf course and I'm driving by, I will slow down and time the honk of my car
to your golf swing.
100%. So I don't know who he is, but I met him and I know a couple songs, but I'm not a big fan. But Sully from the band Godsmack, this is his charity fundraiser.
Oh cool.
It was at the most aristocratic golf club, like, you know, a place in the world. But it was 3.5 hours. And it's funny how we all know how slow golf moves, but it was great. And here's how it works. There was 2 signs at the hole, that you're at the heckle hole, and here's a QR code, and you can pay us $20 to not heckle you, or you can pay us more to heckle your friends harder. And if you pay us not to heckle you, but somebody else in your party pays more, we keep the money you gave us and we still heckle you. And and we knew there was going to be a couple people who were sure this score was going to wind them up in the PGA, get their PGA card. And, you know, it's like, look, this is just for me and Biff. Biff, there's always going to be a James. There's always going to be, not you know, from F and H. There's always going to be that one guy who there's always going to be a Rob Whitney. You know what I mean? And there was 17 groups that came through. There was only one group, but there was one guy who came over to us. Now these guys, dude, the money that came through was ridiculous. We raised so much money. It was so great. One guy came right over to us, maybe the second or third person. He was ready to go with $100 bill. He goes, not the group behind us, but the group after them. You give them hell. And he gave us a guy's name. And I'm like, what's his wife's name? He goes, his ex-wife's name is Heather. And so as the guy's going to tee off, I just say, it's like, we find out if Heather got the golf swing in the divorce settlement. And the guy just drops a club, shoulders sink. He starts laughing. He looks over and he's like, you son of a bitch. It was so much fun. And I said, so Mike and I, you know, I'll be honest. It's like, dude, it sounds so cliche, but I'll be honest for a second. I've had more people put their hand down to help me back on my feet throughout my life who got nothing out of it. You know, I have debts I will never be able to repay. So when I get the opportunity to do something, and so I am halfway through my second round of courses with Hidden Battles. It's a veterans group and for first responders dealing with PTSD. We did a 5-week course with them back in the spring, and they did a showcase. One of the guys has shown up at a mic that I host, a monthly mic that I host, to get up and do a spot. I'm so glad he stuck with it. Next week is our third week of 4 weeks for the next group of people. Well, Hidden Battles is a big organization, a big 501(c)(3). It's one guy, but they do a lot of outreach. I was already scheduled to do their heckle hole next month for their golf tournament. Right. And that's going to be a riot because I'll know half a dozen guys coming through. But so this was really good. Like, look, these are rich fucks, but they all had a good sense of humor. Mike and I raised a ton of money for a good cause. It really was a good week of comedy because, like I said, but here's the big thing about circling back to Eddie's Ranch. $11,400 was raised. Wow. Because one of her sponsors paid for the club. You know, and Christine Hurley was free, and I was free, but paid for the room, paid for all the incidentals, like whatever she needed. She had so many people donate gift bags and stuff like that. Like Mike's been doing fundraisers for a while. Lisa found a company called Zeffy, Zeffy. They're ticketing. They take zero money.
Oh, nice.
If it's a 501(c)(3). Eventbrite takes $5.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that $50 ticket, every dime went to Eddie's Ranch.
Nice.
Every dime from the gift bags went to the ranch. There was nothing. So I mean, to do that, to raise money for Sully's thing, for that organization was great. Due to Hidden Battles. I mean, literally, I didn't think, I'd ever get paid to stand up in front of people telling them how my wife is mean to me. Like I found people willing to give me money to tell me, that my kids are shitty to me. It really is. And again, and a night like that where Christine Hurley is great and Mike's great, Wayne and Anthony are the two best friends. And then where, I'm in a group chat with this guy, Justin, and another guy named Dan, but Wayne and Anthony, and Justin and Dan, they are the greatest guys that Joe and I have really become friends with, along with Mike and Steve Bjork and stuff like that. But to have Wayne be part of the show too, it was a really special week because let's face it, life is nothing but one shitstorm after the next. And again, to go to the found footage festival with Joe, to have Joe see me butcher his jokes in front of 160 people, to make fun, to raise money to make fun of golfers. There was one guy, and I'm going to post a 30-second reel of the highlights of it. There was one guy who literally shanked it so bad. We got him so good that it barely made it off that little tee area where the thing is. Just barely made it past that, that thing. So it was a really, really good thing. And again, to be able to do this with Joe, it was a really good week during the week of a really shitty week for comics in general. So what about you, Biff? You get any fishing in lately? What fun things have you been up to?
I just been just a little too busy with stuff. And so, it's been a while since I've been to concerts. I was looking forward to one in next month. Just got canceled. I wonder if they were like, this once again, my freaking current addiction, Japanese all-girl heavy metal band. They abruptly canceled their show and blamed the organizers. But I'm thinking, you know what? I don't know if I told you, I went to see the guitarist for Megadeth guy, former guitarist for Megadeth guy named Marty Friedman, solo show back in January. And his entire he lives in Japan, and his backup band is.
Oh, you went to that show, right? Yes, I knew about
and then,
that.
And they had visa issues entering. Like even though they had everything, he had visa issues entering. And I'm thinking, I wonder if this Japanese band just had like visa issues, because I have been reading that there's just been issues with getting the visas, and so I wonder if that was, what that, organizer failure was, where they just didn't apply on time, and they said, we're not going to, you're not going to get your thing on time, kind of thing. I don't know what the deal is. Who knows? So,
well, more people, are don't have visa issues and are still getting turned away.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it before. Yeah. There is so FIFA and the World Cup that's coming next year is a North American. So a lot of the preliminary games are being played in Mexico and Canada, but the round of 16 are all being played in the U.S. Other games are being played in the U.S. as well. You know what I mean? It's a huge 2-month thing.
Well, even before that, wasn't one of the South American teams like Venezuela or something like that? They qualified for the little World Series.
The Little League World Series, a team from Venezuela, they were denied. They were denied visas. So, and here's some of the political stuff that's going on. There was a tournament. Basically, it's a European tournament. It's a world tournament. It's a club World Cup. It's not the World Cup. The World Cup is countries, and the World Cup is the biggest sporting thing in the world. Right. You know what I mean? It's every 4 years. It's bigger than the Olympics. So, but there's another World Cup called the Club World Cup. So you have teams from all over the world playing, and that was held in the United States. That's where Chelsea won, and Trump wouldn't get off the stage with the team. He refused to get off the stage. He presented the trophy, and then you get the fuck out of Dodge. Like, none of the organizers, none of that. It's just a team photo. Yeah, right. He refused to leave the middle of the picture, which Chelsea photoshopped him out in the official photo. Anyways, tickets for that were selling for like $5-6. Because so few people were traveling to the United States.
Oof.
because this was just 2 or 3 months ago, because they don't want to do this. Now, here's some things that are going on inside FIFA. Iran has qualified for the World Cup.
Oh, wow.
Are they going to
Okay.
get visas?
Wow.
Are Iranians going to want to travel to the world? So that's what. So
Wow.
more and more people, and I don't mean piece of shit fans like me, and England and France and Germany, but we're talking people inside these organizations are saying, our fans don't want to go. Like by this point in time, like hotels are already bought out where those games are being played.
Right.
Like you don't know who's going to be in the round of 16. Yes, you would like your country
Yeah,
to be in
it's
it,
like the
but
Olympics. You're gonna go to, you're gonna go to the event, right? I mean,
right, exactly.
Right.
Like you're going to get a ticket
Yeah.
hoping that your country's in the round of
Yeah.
16, but you're not going to take the chance and not be there and
Right.
stuff like that. And so there is a huge the drumbeat to move the games just to Mexico or just to Canada is louder and
Wow.
louder. Yeah, because I mean, and
Wow.
of course it's Los Angeles, it's Dallas, it's Miami, it's MetLife Stadium. It's basically where Oasis just played is where these games are going.
Right.
The newer stadiums that hold 80,000 people.
Right.
But that is something that FIFA keeps saying. No, we're not moving games. We're not moving games. Well, if it's big enough for you to keep having to address, and we are 6-7 months, we are 8 months out. And I don't think the political climate gets better for foreigners coming here. My brother-in-law, I mean, I am pleading with him to not go visit. He goes to Colombia every 2 years.
Right.
Sometimes for a week, sometimes for a month, depending on it. He has his own company if he can get away that long. I'm imploring him not to go. I don't think he gets back. I mean, there's more and more people that you're hearing are getting turned away. People who are citizens who are
Right.
getting, stuff away or it's stuff
Wow.
like that.
Yeah.
So as far as travel and all that stuff goes, more and more people from around the world, it's not this country or that country, but what other countries might qualify
Yeah.
that you're told, no, you can't come here and play. Iran is not going to get into the round of 16s.
Right.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Most likely, but here's some other stuff that's going on as far as soccer and politics, because I know that's what our listeners are tuning in for. Holland, the country, the country of Holland has to play Israel in a qualifier. They have a
Right.
qualifier coming up against Israel. They can't not play the game. Holland is one of those countries that, just like Ireland passed a law that they will not import goods from the West Bank.
Okay.
Not the rest of Israel, but for
Right.
right now, the West
Yeah.
Bank, they passed a law. Holland just canceled a several billion-dollar contract with Caterpillar.
Okay.
And they stated, Caterpillar machines are being used to level Gaza. We don't want to be associated with
Wow.
Caterpillar. The Secretary of State got on a plane and flew over to Holland to demand that they don't pull that contract. And the government of Holland said, this is the Holland Sovereignty Fund that pulled that. It is not. That wasn't a political thing. It wasn't the country of Holland. It wasn't voted on in our
Right.
houses of government.
Yeah.
This is a private sovereignty fund
Yeah.
that says Holland Sovereignty Fund, you would think, like the Fed, people think that the Fed is part of the U.S. government. It is not. So here's another thing that Holland just said. All the money that we are getting, the players aren't getting paid.
Right.
The ticket sales, every dime goes to Gaza humanitarian relief,
Right.
which Israel put out a statement saying that is anti-Semitic. They didn't say anything about Israel, anything about the genocide, but they said our money is so what happens then? Like what, you know what I mean? It's like, what happens if, because you see it now and then on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
And like the last Olympics, there was an Israeli fencer scheduled in the semifinals against somebody from Saudi, and the Saudi player or the Saudi fencer wouldn't fence against the Israeli. And that has happened before, but that's a one-on-one your decision thing.
Right.
What if, like the Venezuelan baseball team that qualified for the Little League World Series, the State Department wouldn't issue them
Right.
You know, it was a blanket thing. You're not coming here from Venezuela,
Yeah.
full stop. What if they turn around and said, no, Iran, you are not coming here?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing those games are going to be played in Mexico or
Right.
Canada, you know, so FIFA can juggle that. But what other country's going to wind up on the shit list? You know what I mean? So what if Ireland does turn around and say, you know what, we're not taking any goods right now from Israel? Does our State Department now not let the
Right.
Irish football
Yeah.
club that could possibly make it into the round of 16, show up and play? So it is, it is. It's pretty fucked, what I mean? But on a personal level, people like you, Biff, I want you to go to Japan and not be able to come back so that Joe and I have a place to stay. I mean, don't take this the wrong way. I might be making a phone call. I might be making a phone call, so I have a place to go over there. But anyways, that's you know what, I will say one more soccer thing. I sent it to Joe. I made Joe watch it. I don't know if I sent it. Yeah, I think I sent it to the F&H group. We'll just talk, football for one more second. Look, I don't want to brag about my son's mediocre accomplishments, but did you guys see the goal he scored, the header he scored? Did I send you guys that footage?
Mhm.
I don't. Yeah. But go ahead though.
On a corner kick,
Yeah.
he timed his run,
Yeah.
and he literally got a foot over the defender.
Yeah.
And my wife was amazed that she's like, wait, he turned his head. Did he make it go into that corner on purpose? I'm like, yes, that's the thing. And it's funny because, my son has blue hair, and
Right.
and so when my mom was trying to find what field he was on for the first game, I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, don't you look for his blue hair. And I
Yeah.
said, look for the white kid, because he
Right.
his entire team is from Brazil.
Yeah.
And they were playing Lawrence, where the entire team is Dominican. Like almost like, and it's like, it was just funny. Here you are in northern, Massachusetts, one side going up the pitch, yelling out in Portuguese, playing the other side, yelling in Spanish. And here's this little white devil with blue hair. And don't ask what anime character it is. Like his wardrobe is based on, at least once a week, I get the text message, or his mom gets a text message, or a link to Amazon, because he needs this style shirt because it's from Jujutsu Kaisen, or he's dressing like, he cosplays as this guy from JoJo's, you know what I mean? A couple months ago, he got, when the soccer season started, we got him new cleats that were pink that matched his hair. And now I'm waiting for him to ask if we can get blue ones because they match that. So that's the soccer wrap up. Back to music and traveling. Management was in your neck of the woods the other day.
Right.
For Oasis. They stayed with our friend Ronick, which was a good thing and a bad thing, because
once again, your kids ask, why can't we live here, right?
I mean, I'm not talking out of school here. Ronick could and should rent her guest house, except for the fact she needs it once a month, twice a month, when Vanity Fair comes in, because her place looks at a couple of it's not a gazebo. I apologize. It's a tiny gazebo, but it's not called a gazebo. Whoever owned the house in like 1932 got it deemed as some kind of performance art stage, which gave it a tax break in perpetuity.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a thing. Okay.
It was a thing in 1932 that's still on the fucking books.
Right.
And it's gorgeous. Like literally the guest room that the boys stayed in, it was bigger than the house the four of us used to live in right at the beach in Playa.
Right.
But they were there. It was whirlwind. They were there. They got there late afternoon. She dropped them right off at Universal. She brought everything unpacked, went back to Universal and met them for Horror Night with their costumes. They did Horror Nights. The second night they did Horror Nights by themselves, because that was Oasis.
Okay.
A friend of hers worked at Disney for like 30 years, and they get 4 free passes a year. So they went to Disney, and it was there was a couple friends who said, hey, I'm going to join you. And management nicely said, I never see my boys. I haven't been to a park with them for years. it's just going to be the three of us.
Yeah,
And because
yeah,
there were so
yeah,
many
sure,
people
yeah.
who saw pictures who were like,
Yeah.
why didn't you visit? Why didn't you drive an hour and a half to see us here? You know? So the boys spent 2 nights at Universal, a day at Disney. And so, but you know how we do Disney. It's like they were there when it opened.
Right.
They were there when it closed.
Yeah.
They left Disney at 11 p.m. Their flight was 6 a.m. They didn't not go back to Ronix.
Right.
They went back. They dropped off the car.
Yeah.
They went to the airport, and
Yeah.
they got to the airport at like 2.
Yeah, and just slept at the airport, yeah, or whatever.
Slept there, yeah.
Lounge at the airport, right? Yeah.
So it was one of those things where when I say she dropped him off at Universal, because Roanoke lives like a mile away, and it's just like, so they, from the time they got off the plane to the time they got on the plane, they didn't stop. And she saw Oasis, and she definitely puts it in the top 3 non-Duran Duran concerts. Her number 1 non-Duran Duran concert she saw last year. She saw why am I blanking on the name? Mr. Brightside.
Killers.
Killers.
Yeah.
In Vegas.
Yeah, home turf. Yeah.
At the hotel that the lead singer Brandon worked at for years. So they all grew up in Vegas. He worked in Vegas while the band was coming up. And she said, it was a homecoming for them. She said that, but she said, my friend Anthony, from Open Mic Pain and I, we fucked up. We were going to drive to the Meadowlands the day of, and we just should have, but she was just saying it was one of those things where there's a couple times where Liam or Noel, if Noel's singing, just steps away from the mic, and 80,000 people and they don't sing a line. They'll sing a verse. They'll go through the bridge and they'll sing the second verse. Second verse coming out of the bridge.
I experienced that once, which
with
is
who?
With Springsteen and Hungry Heart.
Mm-hmm.
So he sings the first line. Got a kid in Baltimore, Jack, and then he steps away from the mic, and then the audience takes it from there.
How many times have you ever been in the building? I have not been in the building. I've seen this. I think it was Vancouver who used to do this. The national anthem singer, Joe, would come out, tuxedo, center ice, comes down the red carpet, and just holds the mic up. And the rest of the stadium. And if it doesn't make you feel things, you know what I mean? It is just breathtaking when you see, something like that. But
I know how to sing the national anthem for the United States. Boo, boo. Isn't that what they changed the words
I will
to?
say though, like North America is like the only place where they do that, right? Like, the only time anthem is ever played in a sporting event is like the Olympics during the medal kind of a thing, right? But like that's not a thing in other countries, right?
And it wasn't a thing here till about and like everything. It was a dirty little secret that I think everybody knew, but when the story broke that those about 10 years the national anthem was pretty much my life from about 2006 2007 to about 2012.
Sure.
Joe went to a Jets game with me. You went to Washington. You were at the Washington game.
The Redskins. Yep.
Is it not ridiculous what you get to do when you're behind the velvet rope like that, Biff? But when those spotlights, your salute to service person and the flyer, they were all paid for.
Yeah.
It made it look like this big flag waving thing is all about waving the flag. No, it turned out just to be a commercial. But yeah, look, I don't care who does it. Canada booed our anthem.
Yeah.
We booed their anthem. When the Toronto Blue Jays made it to the World Series for the first time, game 1 and 2, I believe, were in Toronto.
Okay. I can't remember, but yeah.
But the first game in the United States, it was a simple mistake. Biff, it happens. Accidents happen. Canadian flag was upside down. So hey, credit where credit's due. We usually don't miss the opportunity to be a piece of shit. I mean, when the opportunity to do the wrong thing presents itself, we're batting about 850. I think our Hall of Fame batting average when it comes to being a petty piece of shit. But yeah, that anthem thing. But anyways, yeah. So that was So that was her trip. It was good. Here's the other thing about I'm going to be taking a lot of trips. I'm going to do a commercial. Maybe this commercial's too late. I was skeptical, but management had a friend who did it 2 years ago. Biff, management bought our Christmas presents about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I put it on the F&H. She bought us unlimited passes on Frontier Airline.
Oh,
$300.
yeah.
They did this promotion 2 years ago.
Yeah.
One of her Duran Duran friends
Right.
flew 20 times.
Yeah.
It's not a scam.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to pay the taxes on what the flight would be.
Right. Yeah.
So when I took the boys out to LA, we did JetBlue points. When management took the boys to LA, it was her JetBlue points. But you had to pay like $17 a flight.
Yeah.
Like
right. Yeah.
$17 per person. So you have to pay no free luggage.
Yeah.
So, but if the boys and I travel or management and I travel, we'll have one bag.
Right.
And it's a North American thing. So we can go up to Canada. We can go, I mean, I don't know if it goes down to Brazil. I'm going to look into that because we will go visit, my son's best friend's family that relocated back there. But I'm going to be traveling a lot, and I reached out to Dante the comic who, once or twice a month, he's up in Alaska. Him and his wife, she's a headliner. They do 1 or 2 weekends here or there, together. And he looked into it and he's like, oh my God, man, this is the greatest thing. Thank you. I probably just saved him, $2,500, $3,000 in traveling and stuff like that. So, cause people think you travel a lot. We travel a lot. It's like, yeah, we do. But if you kind of can work the system,
By
the
way, one thing I did forget to mention, and I do want to point it out, even though it's really stupid, because we were talking about baseball and also just not having national anthems. In Japanese professional baseball games, they have celebrities doing what's called the fox dance, which is this cute little dance, and the song is, and I think the song is there's a song that goes, what does a fox do? And they
what does a fox say?
Say right, that one, right? So they have these people dance to that at Japanese, like celebrities dance to that at Japanese stadiums. And the way this started was that all the Japanese baseball teams. Oh, so one thing about Japanese baseball that's hilarious is that they have like organized cheers. It's kind of closer to a college football game because how the college football, like obviously all the colleges have their own little chants and whatever, right? So they have a lot of that kind of stuff. They have these coordinated things, and one of the things that they have is these cheer girls. And then apparently, I think what happened was that one of these women who's on the cheer squad started to do this fox dance at one of the whatever, and that suddenly that became a thing. And so now, so I actually just happened to, and I've seen just like any other, just like here, right? You get these, people who throw out the first pitch. Those people stick around, like especially when they're women, and then during inning breaks and whatever, they'll play the song, and she's in front of the entire, baseball field doing the stupid fox dance. So,
do you know about that song though? Do you not know about that song? Joe, you know all about the song.
I don't know anything.
Oh my God, Biff! Yeah. It was about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah. It was the biggest thing in the world. What it was, there's. I want to say again. It's Norwegian. It's some Scandinavian talk show.
Okay.
And it's 2 guys, and it's a comedy talk show.
Okay.
And they do parody songs.
Right. Okay.
So they did this song. I implore you to watch the music video because the music video, it is a great song. Maybe it's 10 years ago now. Maybe it's 10 plus years ago. But first of all, the genre of music, it's kind of a grunge song. Dude, the video was the video of the year around the world, like around the world.
Yeah.
The song went #1 in many
Okay.
countries.
Yeah.
So you could say
Yeah.
to your listening device, and
Yeah.
it might still do it. Say to your listening device, "Hey, listening device, what
Yeah.
does a fox say?" And it will repeat the stupid things. It's like
Yeah.
it's this chant that
Well,
the
so
fox
yeah, so
says.
I do know the song because
Huge.
I've watched so many of these videos, right? But
The other thing that's going on,
yeah.
the other thing like that that's going on in stadiums, I know
It's kind of
now.
like a whatchamacallit. I feel like it's like Gangnam Style. Remember when that was?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
and they,
But in European football, the singing is so great. Each team has chants for the other team,
Right.
players, but in real time, something shitty will happen, or something will happen in the game,
Yeah.
and somehow they get 30,000 people in on a chant instantly. But the other cool thing is, I know the LAFC do this, and other cities have done it.
Mhm.
Lots of cities now have a coordinated thing when they
Right.
do the kiss cam.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and at one point, it might be the two mascots from each.
Right. Yeah.
It might be two celebrities.
Yeah.
Do the Coldplay couple
Yeah.
during the kiss cam thing?
Right.
And Seth Green and his wife were the kiss cam Coldplay couple at an
Yeah.
LAFC game the other day. You know, when I was at the LAFC game with the boys, like last month, I forget which celebrity did it, but a celebrity and his girlfriend were there, and they did the kiss cam and they play Coldplay
Yeah.
while the kiss cam, and there's real people that are kissing or sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
It's always funny in hockey when they put it on two players on the visiting bench.
Yep,
Because,
yep.
homophobia is just
Yeah.
alive and well, thank goodness. But so I will look up the Japanese. Is it Japanese baseball, or is it just
Japanese
Giants? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not one team that's doing it.
I think all the teams do it, and then like, but what's funny was like, so like one of the bands, one of the the Japanese girls bands that I follow did just like right, the typical thing, right? They'll come and perform at the game, and in between they're freaking doing the fox dance, and it's like what, like what, like even those people have to do it. So
Dude, it's that extra stuff like that where you're all participating in
Yeah.
something again, like singing along to it. That's what makes those outings. That was what's so fun about the festival Joe and I went in.
yeah,
Everybody in there knew about the inside jokes. Like,
Right.
like I didn't know this inside joke. Like there's a frisbee fucker. Like they had a picture of the 16-year-old kid when he
Right.
showed up for his interview to do an internship, was wearing a yellow frisbee fucker shirt. There's an inside joke with them. There was a German porn movie
Right.
called Frisbee Fucker that they sell T-shirts for. But as soon as everybody on the screen saw that kid,
right.
everybody was in on it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like the pre-show,
Frisbee fucker.
the pre-show, which was just 20 minutes of like a slideshow, the cheers as different slides that people wouldn't know. Well, Joe didn't. Biff, do you know who Winnebago Man is? It was it was a video that went around when the beginning
Okay.
of the internet. It's a guy who's giving a tour of a new Winnebago. He works for the company trying to send Winnebagos, and this is all the outtakes where the guy's literally
Okay.
drunk
Yeah.
and having a breakdown. I knew that one, but Joe, but whatever came on the screen, and so
Right.
it was nice that all the people were on the inside joke and stuff like that. Those are great. I don't think you guys want to talk about the awful stuff. I'll just mention
I know. I do want to bring
Jimmy
up one
Kimmel.
thing.
Jimmy
don't-
Kimmel getting fired.
Oh, I was going to talk about something else awful, but because I was just going to say that I mean, Connor McDavid's contract is going to end this year, and they're just not close to getting him signed. And it's just the
Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
But no, the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. I mean, Colbert was not a month ago. Stephen
No.
Colbert got fired not a month
Yeah.
ago, and the piece of shit in the White House the day after Kimmel got pulled off the air, or the same day he got pulled off the air, flat out put out a tweet saying
Yeah.
Seth Meyers and Jimmy Fallon are next. He flat out
Well-
said the fake news, NBC. I'm going to get them to fire.
But to be fair, I mean Jimmy Fallon, but I love Seth Meyers.
Yeah, no, but the whole
Yeah.
look last year, and I saw Patton Oswalt put out a video yesterday, as did Christopher Titus,
Yeah.
as did everybody.
Yeah.
But Patton Oswalt he, after the election, again, smart. He didn't take the high road, but he said, hey, let's hope for the best.
Right.
I think it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
But he flat out said, here are the biggest signs to look out for when they start going after comedians.
Right.
And you remember during the election cycle when the guy from Kill Tony referred to Puerto Rico as a floating piece of trash.
Yeah.
And people were outraged because he called an entire, province,
territory.
Thank you,
territory.
a commonwealth, a piece of trash. It's like, oh, you liberal snowflakes, you can't even take a joke. No one canceled him. He didn't have dates pulled from his tour.
Right.
No one canceled. YouTube didn't cancel the Kill Tony show. But you are literally silencing huge voices now.
Yeah.
Well, they're also both of the Colbert and Kimmel cancellations have to do with mergers, media mergers.
Yeah.
One was CBS, which is Paramount and Skydance.
Yeah.
And now here we are with Disney and Nexstar trying to merge. Nexstar is like the nation's largest owner of local television affiliates. A lot of them are on ABC. I think they're all, but they're trying to merge. And the FCC chair basically said, if you're going to have this comedian on every night that's going to criticize, not only the president, but the movement or the people that support the president, then, maybe that merger that you're trying to do won't go through so well. Maybe we'll have to, CC about that.
Yeah, really nice network here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
Yeah, so I'm just about ready to, the movement now is boycotting Disney. Canceling Disney Plus pretty soon, I gotta say. I don't know. I'm waiting to see if Monday, they may have a change of heart because
management look to see when our subscription is up. And the truth be told, it's like, Joe and I have ways of seeing our favorite shows, other ways that but I don't mind paying for my content. I look, do you guys know a bigger dork who loves Marvel or Star Wars more than me? And I've been nothing but thrilled with everything that Disney has put out in the Star Wars universe. Right. I don't mind paying for my entertainment, but we're done. But
and that's the other thing is that when these things happen, I mean, this is almost going to be a test to see how strong this fucking administration is, how powerful they are, how influential they are, and how much of a stranglehold they have on corporations. Because if a Disney boycott doesn't move the needle, like if the people can't respond with their wallets as they used to in the past, then it's going to be like, no, fuck you, consumer. We
can do what we want.
We're going to do what we want, and you're going to like it. And now, here's your Marvel, here's your Disney, here's your Muppets, here's all. And by the way, all the stuff that was on Hulu is now going to be folded in. I mean, it's already owned by Disney essentially, but it's going to be folded into Disney Plus. Go fuck yourself, consumer. And also, we're going to raise the rates just to spite you.
No, I mean, it's because it is all. But here's my number one problem with it. What people think Jimmy Kimmel said, he didn't say.
Right.
He didn't say anything.
It's not even what people think; it's what they're telling people.
People, he said. What he said, he didn't. He said, and my management reposted it, and so many people have reposted it saying, look, see for yourself what he said.
Yeah.
And what he said is just the truth. When the shooting happened, literally within minutes, the bullshit came out.
This is for posterity. This is about the assassination.
About the
of Charlie
assassin.
Kirk.
Yeah. And so so right away they blamed trans people. Right out of the gate, he was shot by a liberal. He was shot by a trans person. He was shot by a furry. Yeah. This is what was written on the bullets within minutes. All of these things, and at the first one out of the gate is what tends to stick. And then for 2 days, there's a South Carolina congresswoman who came to Providence running on an anti-trans agenda. She thinks what she says is anti-trans or trans people shouldn't exist. Right. She has advocated for these people to be done away with, which is always great because most gay people came from straight parents. Like, that's another story for another day. But she went to the bank of microphones and literally said, enough is enough. I'm not going to repeat what she said, but it was vile. It was fucking vile. It was a call for violence against a marginalized group of people. Over the next few days, it turned out, well, no, he's not a trans person. He's not pro-trans. In fact, he's a Nick Fuentes fan who Turning Point turned Nick Fuentes away. When Nick Fuentes wanted to be part of it, he was too extreme for them. He was too extreme for them.
There's been a little bit of a thing between like the Charlie Kirk backers and the Nick Fuentes backers, right? I mean, hasn't there been a thing, right?
Yes, because Nick was left on the outside looking in. He wanted to be part of that and was told no. So the kid who shot him turns out to be more extreme than the Charlie Kirk side.
I think to be fair, I can't believe I'm freaking agreeing with this guy because I think he's just an absolute douchebag. But I saw Bill Maher talking to Ben Shapiro, and he basically just said, you know what? We don't know what's what. Nothing's come out, so, we need to stop, trying to analyzing any of this without facts. That's basically the gist of it. And I saw the clip and said, I can't believe it's that kind of that bizarre moment where like, wait, I'm like agreeing with every word Bill Maher said, which was
broken clock's right twice a day. Okay, and agree. I'll agree. I will agree with you. But this is what Jimmy Kimmel said. He goes,
right. The point is that everybody's trying to, these people are trying to essentially pin it on not doing the not us. You know what it reminded me of? You remember that SNL skits where they had like these people telling had the newscast skit where they had there was two black newscasters and two white newscasters, and as they say the news, they're saying, "Oh, not us,"
Right. They're trying to like they're whether the topic of the story.
Shane Gillis hosted that, and there was two white correspondents and two black ones, and then they're like 3-2. But either way, all Jimmy Kimmel did is say that MAGA over the weekend is twisting themselves into a pretzel trying to say that this kid isn't MAGA. He didn't say the kid was MAGA.
Yeah.
He pointed out the truth that because it's really funny that I'm going to say it, and I don't apologize. I don't use this word lightly. That cunt from South Carolina who's anti-trans, who ran. So she was giving a statement, and somebody had said to her, no one, I said, should the right be taking responsibility for the death of Melissa Hartman in Wisconsin? And she looked at her, paused, goes, we're not talking about that right now. She demanded that the left, stand up and apologize, for this right out. And the finger pointing is horrible. But it turns out he wasn't from a broken home. He was a white kid.
Well,
his mom,
Mormon home, so.
Well, his mom is a gun-toting, loving person. Like her Facebook page was nothing but her with guns. Dad's a cop and loves his guns. Total mega loving people, and that is just a fact. Yeah. Being mad that you're saying that the kid was white. So Jimmy Kimmel got fired, and again. Dude, when you fire somebody like Jimmy Kimmel, that's 200 good-paying jobs. Like, you're not just firing Jimmy Kimmel. You're firing 200, a lot of union jobs and stuff like that. Good-paying jobs. And but he didn't say anything. Like, that's the whole thing. And now, like, people are getting fired not for saying anything about the assassination, but not being in mourning. Yeah. Like you can't say. You can't say anything negative. And I'll look, Joe would love me to say something negative and have Podbean cancel our podcast. I'm not taking the bait, Joe. I'm not going to do it. I will say, look, I'm not a violent guy. Honestly, even the piece of shit in the White House, like, dude, if he didn't wake up tomorrow, I wouldn't be sad, but I don't advocate violence from anybody for any reason. I think Charlie Kirk was a horrible, despicable, hateful, racist person who had every right to say the horrible, despicable, racist things that he said. But when your racist things are calls to violence, no. And I don't know anybody in my orbit celebrating this person's death. Not mourning a death is not celebrating it. And you know, my son had a teacher who told the kids that the flags were at half mast for Charlie Kirk. And my son said it's 9/11. And his teacher was upset with him. On 9/11, the teacher was telling kids in his class, were they at half mast for 9/12? Sure. Were the flags lowered when Jimmy Carter died? No. Were the flags lowered when Melissa Hartman, her dog, her husband were murdered in their house? No. So that's another story for another day. I will say, and I think I speak for all of us, we don't advocate even pushing somebody in line in front of you, let alone any kind of violence at all. But this whole push where people are literally getting fired. And I'll be honest, I've lost a lot of followers, other comedians on social media over the last 6 months. I have, and I don't, you know, because I repost things. Yesterday I reposted the Antifa class of 1945, and it's a picture from the back of a platoon boat as we're hitting the beachheads in Normandy for
right.
Like that Antifa class 1945, and then I posted the other day just Antifa equals anti-fascist.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, if you're upset with Antifa, you're fascist. Sorry, if you don't want to look. Stop doing everything in the.
I will say though, right? You know what the issue is that just like the word woke, right? It was a kind of appropriated to mean something else that it's really not anymore, right?
100%.
Right? So yeah.
Well, that's what fascists do so well, is they just take whatever language is out there and use it and weaponize it for their gain. It's all it is.
Joe,
Jacques has something to say. Go ahead.
No, because I wasn't going to bring this up, but look, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
They corrupted it by turning it into Blue Lives Matter. Yeah. Now they're doing Say His Name. That's a Black Lives Matters thing. They are mocking the Black Lives Matters. They're like,
during COVID, My Body, My Choice was co-opted. Yeah. It was an anti-abortion thing, and now all of a sudden it's an anti-vaccine thing.
Correct.
I mean, story. So yes. Are we talking about that fascists that run the country? That we are living in a fascist dictatorship now in the United States?
It's not going to happen. Honestly, what's the difference between us and North Korea? Like literally, what is the difference between where we are right now? Do people in North Korea have any more free speech than we do?
Okay. I think we're probably right now. I think
how close?
How close? Listen, dude. I think right now the fact that we're able to put this podcast up and not get arrested for it yet is maybe like we're a little bit better than North Korea.
Okay,
we're on the way.
But what I was saying about Biff going overseas,
or
if I go overseas, management and I are going to London and France the end of next month, and people are telling you. Scrub your phone. Take off your Face ID. People are getting turned away for what their social media posts are at the airport. Like literally, if I go through the airport and somebody Googles me and it comes up anything that I've posted, I'll probably get back into my own country, but I might be sitting in a detention thing for a couple days. I mean, and that's where we are right now. Like the fact that Jimmy Kimmel, he didn't call the shooter MAGA. He didn't say anything negative about
And so
Kirk.
What if he fucking did? The point is he should not be taken off the air for things.
Correct.
Like, listen, we're splitting hairs in the shadow of listen, dude, we're in the shadow of a madman, okay? And there's no coming back from this right away. We're going down a path that's only going to get worse. And only going to get more contentious and only going to escalate, not de-escalate.
What scares me is you can't follow all the news. Nobody has talked about these two things. Trump told the feds to lower the interest rate, and the head of the Fed said no. And the next day, he tweets out that she's being investigated for fraud for a loan she got for her house. He puts that out there himself, and then the next day tweets out, I've seen the evidence, because he can't fire her. The Fed
Right.
is not part of the government. He does not oversee the Fed, but there's a Article 91 on page 614 says, for just cause, if the head of the Fed is found guilty of fraud, they can be removed by the president. So he literally just puts out bullshit. And of course, because the Feds now have done a whitewashing thing, there's a loyalty test inside the Fed now. They are firing people en masse. I was surprised that one of the directors, like a senior director inside the federal government, came forward and said, here's the test that they made me take today. Have you voted for a Democrat in the last 30 years? Do you believe the 2020 election was stolen? Do you think DEI is a bad thing? No, these were questions that a FBI director was asked point blank in writing for a loyalty test for the FBI. So when the Trump tweets out saying, oh, she's being investigated for this, so the FBI opens an investigation, and within one day he says, I've seen the evidence, we have to get rid of her. Yes, I mean, we are not, okay, we're not North Korea on this Monday morning, but let's see what happens by Monday afternoon.
I will say though, one of the guys I follow on Instagram is a guy who basically defected from North Korea, and his thing is, he goes out into the streets, goes, ask me anything about North Korea, So
good. Well, I mean, literally,
fascinating.
And we're not even going to talk about the student from Delta State who was found hung, and they're saying no, it's not a lynching. He did it himself.
Yeah.
Like after he broke his bones, he then hung himself. Oh, and
he
Colin
broke his
Kaepernick,
bone trying to hang himself.
is that what it is? Look,
yeah.
I
Welcome
don't
to
know
the
how
segment of Carnival Personnel. We're not going to talk about this.
Yes. Well,
yeah.
I know you're right.
I mean, so unfortunately, Biff has a hard out in 5 minutes. So maybe we should wrap things up. Jacques, what's your parenting tip for the good people?
My parenting tip is Colin Kaepernick is paying for top seat. Anyways, my parenting tip, we cover video games. Yeah. We cover TV. Yeah. So my parenting tip is simple. If your kid wants to dye his hair a very bright color, and you have any hesitation on it, but your son plays a sport that you can't really sit very close to the field, it makes it really easy to spot. It makes it easy for your 82-year-old mom, grandmother of this child, to be able to distinguish when a corner kick is coming in, and there are now 18 bodies wearing either maroon colored or red colored jerseys pressed in the box. It makes it easy to spot. So you support your children getting into anime, so they might then want to cosplay, and they might want to dye their hair, and you say, I'm all for it. That is my parenting tip.
I will say that I'll kind of piggyback along with that. It's good to share interests with your kids, because there's a couple of animes that both James and I watch, and we don't we often don't watch it together, but every once in a while we'll say, hey, the new episode's up, so
Which show? Which one? Which one?
There's two that we watch. One is called Dun Dun Dun, and one is called Kaiju Number 8. And so
okay, see, thank you. Sorry, Joe, for corrupting this. We thought it was Dan to Dan. It's Dun to Dun.
Don to Don. Don to Don.
So we've been pronouncing it wrong, because my son, I have, because he's not 18.
The opening theme song pronounces it for you.
Well, no. He hasn't watched the show. He's just read the books.
Oh, I see. Okay.
He wanted to finish the books before he watches the show. He's one of those people. Which by the way, I don't know why I find it so delightful to watch him reading a book right to left. I know it's a goofy little thing, but I feel a little more worldly when I watch him read a book right to left and stuff like that. Anyway, but thank you for the pronunciation.
Well, you've been doing that for years.
I wasn't holding up the right side. No, but I was going to say, because he can't have his own bank account. It's a shared account, so I get the emails. I just found out that we now subscribe to Crunchyroll because he didn't want to watch the commercials. So we are $7 a month subscribers to Crunchyroll. Thank you very much. Okay,
as am I, but
nice.
I don't mind paying for that content. Okay, sorry for corrupting that, but thank you for pronunciation.
There you go. And but I think one of these days, it the just the people don't in this country don't understand manga in its proper context, and actually manga drives so much, like because everybody thinks, oh, you turn manga into an anime, and it's actually a lot more than that in Japan. And you have to understand, you have to kind of get the sense of how manga works in Japan, so, and I think that's the part that people miss, because people, when I hear people say, oh, I read manga, they actually get the compiled, thing of one particular. So, if your kid is, reading dan, right? There are people who read it in that context, but that's not how a majority of the manga is read.
Right. Well, it's one of those things. It's like an outsider looking in. Ice hockey, roller hockey, pretty much the same thing, right, Biff? Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Anime, manga, pretty much the same thing. It's like,
Well, it's actually there's actually something way beyond that. But anyway, I digress. I don't have time to talk about that, and we have to let Joe talk about his parenting tip.
I don't have one, so that saves even more time.
no, you got hardworking children. You've done so many things right. You got something for us.
Well,
You're outing. You're outing. You're outing. That's
my outie? No, I don't.
outing.
I don't.
Spending time with your kids.
Yeah, right. Yes. So traditions, establish
go.
traditions with your kids. Rituals. I, at this point, would not want to necessarily go to Retro World Expo because I'm kind of retroed out. It's a big flea market. I enjoy the environment, but I don't necessarily, what the hell, driving an hour and a half and paying the $40-$50 a ticket, whatever. And just to buy things that have just only gone up in price that I don't necessarily need, I don't need that. But my kids who are, of age, they're over 18 at this point, but they kind of wanted to go because they've been going. I've dragged them there. So they learned it by watching me take them to these things that they now, it's kind of like the one thing we do together. So, if that's what you need to do to keep your relationship going with your children, I would say it's a good thing. Establish traditions, whether it be Retro World Expo or, going to a MAGA rally, whatever floats your boat. Oh, I'm sorry. What did I say the wrong thing? Probably. You know what? That's a good place to wrap. Jacques, thank you for being you. Thank you for your service this past week with Eddie's Ranch fundraising and doing some Lord's work, not your Lord's work, not the Lord's work, but some people's Lord's work. Biff, it was good seeing you. We missed you last week, but luckily your presence this week allowed Jacques to plug Frontier Airlines $300 savings package deal. I don't know. He's getting some kickback. I know he is. But hey, you know what? Good for everybody who travels and can take advantage of that. And just don't go to Spirit Airlines. I don't know if you heard the news lately. They almost had an interference with another very famous plane that carries a very famous person that runs a very famous country. So there was some I don't know. You got to hear the air traffic controllers talking to Spirit Airlines, like, get off your iPad. I got to tell you guys twice. Like, they have a reputation with air traffic controller. Yes, apparently Spirit Airlines almost crashed into Air Force One. Like, they were like, a mile apart from each other on the same altitude, and it was just like, they weren't responding right away. I don't know if the pilot, left the co-pilot who wasn't up to snuff while he, went to go take a piss or something. And I'm saying he, because it's probably some dude, man. I don't know. I just wish Nathan Fielder were around.
They were in the cockpit. And when we say the cockpit, we're talking about something else.
Yes, right. But anyways, avoid Spirit, use Frontier is what I'm saying. But Biff, good seeing you. And hopefully we'll get to do this again, unless, the FCC somehow regulates the internet now and cancels us for our, anti-fascist commentary. But, hey, who knows what the next 2 or 3 weeks will bring, and maybe we'll have even more exciting things to talk about or be silenced over. It'll be a mystery. So look forward to that. Who knows if we're doing another sideshow in between now and then. But time will only tell. And Jacques, Biff, Joe, Tex Ritter. And that's when I woke up. Don't forget,